Welcome back. In this seventh part of our journey through the Samkhya Karika, we're diving into verses 49 to 56. In this section, well, it's like getting a cosmic diagnostic manual. It's designed to pinpoint exactly why we feel so stuck sometimes, and reveals the incredible purpose behind that struggle.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever had that feeling like you're just spinning your wheels, putting in all this effort, but going nowhere? You feel caught in some kind of loop, but you can't even see what it is. That feeling of being stuck is a universal human experience.
Well, believe it or not, the Samkhya philosophers were tackling this exact problem thousands of years ago. The verses we're looking at today aren't just some dusty, abstract philosophy. Think of them as a practical toolkit for looking under the hood of our own minds, for diagnosing the hidden roadblocks that keep us running in place. All right, so first up, let's map out the problem. We're going to investigate the deep down reasons we feel this sense of stagnation, both from a psychological and a spiritual point of view. You know, it's like going to a doctor. Before you can get the right treatment, you need an accurate diagnosis. And Samkhya is incredibly systematic about this. It breaks down our inner world into three main categories, or symptoms, that we really need to get our heads around: incapacity, complacency, and attainment. So let's get into the core analysis. We're about to examine the specific mental and emotional states that either chain us to our problems or, on the flip side, actually help us break free. We're kicking things off with Karika 49. In the original Sanskrit, it goes like this: Ekadashindriya vadaha sahabudhi vadaira shaktir uddishta saptadasha vadha buddher viparyayat tushti siddhinam. So, what on earth does that mean? Let's unpack it. This verse introduces our first major obstacle, a concept called ashakti, or incapacity. And here's what's so crucial. Samkhya says this isn't about you being inherently weak or flawed. It's more like your equipment is malfunctioning. And they get super specific, listing 28 ways our inner tools can fail us, 11 related to our senses and mind, and 17 ways our own intellect can trip us up. Okay, next up is Karika 50, which introduces a really subtle but powerful diagnostic category. The Sanskrit is Adhyatmikas chatasara prakrit upadanakala bhagyakya, bhaya vishaya paramat pancha, nava tushteo abhihaita. This one's a little tricky but so important. So this verse is all about tushti, which you could translate as complacency or even false contentment. You might think, wait, isn't being content a good thing? Well, Samkhya says, not so fast. It identifies 9 kinds of complacency that are actually subtle traps. It's that little voice in your head that says, oh, time will fix it, or I'll just wait for my luck to change. It feels like peace, but it's really just stagnation in disguise. All right, so we've looked at the obstacles, but it's not all bad news. Karika 51 completely flips the script and starts talking about the things that can actually help us. Here it is. Uha shabdo adhyayanam duhkovi khata straya suhrit praptih danam cha siddhyeyo ashto siddhye purvonku shastrividha. This brings us to the idea of siddhi, or attainment. Now, when you hear that word, you might think of superpowers or something mystical, but that's not what Samkhya means at all. We're talking about 8 really practical, grounded aids for our journey. Things like clear thinking, studying the teachings, and even just surrounding yourself with good people. It's a path of discipline, the total opposite of that passive complacency we just talked about. Okay, so we've got the symptoms diagnosed. We know about incapacity, complacency, and attainment. But now we need to look under the hood. What's the actual engine that's driving this whole cycle of being stuck? And Karika 52 gives us the key. This is a really profound verse that gets right to the heart of the mechanism. Navi bavari ling lagam nalingana bavi nervati, lingahakyo bavahakyastmad, dvivida pravarte sarga. Now that is a statement, right? It's basically a philosophical chicken and egg situation. The verse is telling us that our deep-seated habits and the very vehicle of our consciousness are totally inseparable. You just can't have one without the other. Let's break that down with an analogy. On one hand, you have the linga, the subtle body. Think of it like your car. It's the vehicle that carries you. On the other hand, you have the bhava, your dispositions. These are like the driver's habits. Are they a reckless driver, a careful one? Samkhya says the car and the driver's habits are locked in a feedback loop. A reckless driver is going to dent up the car, and a beat-up car might just make you drive more recklessly. That loop, that is the engine that drives our experience. So, we've been looking inward at our own personal engine. Now, Samkhya asks us to zoom way out,
Because it turns out that inner engine of ours, it's actually a perfect miniature replica of the entire cosmos. And Karika 53 starts to lay out this giant cosmic map for us. It says, Ashtavikalpo devasthairyagu noscha panchadha bhavati, manushascha ekavidha, samasato yam tridha sarga.
This verse essentially sorts all of creation into 3 big realms. But here's the really cool part. This isn't about biology or different species. It's about distinct realms of experience, different ways of being conscious, each one shaped by totally different cosmic energies.
So what is it that structures these different realms? Well, Karika 54 brings back an idea you might remember, the 3 gunas. The verse states, Urdham sattva vishalasta movi vishalascha mulata, sarga, madhye rajo vishalo, brahma distamba paryanta.
And this gives us the cosmic blueprint. Think of it as 3 levels. The higher realms up top are all about sattva, clarity, harmony, light. The lower realms are dominated by tamas, inertia, heaviness, darkness. And where are we humans? We are plunked right down in the middle, in the realm of rajas. And rajas is all about activity, passion, striving, and suffering. Our entire experience is defined by being in this dynamic, turbulent middle ground.
And Karika 55 brings this huge cosmic map right back home to our personal experience. It reads, Tatra jaramarna kritam dukham prapnoti chetana, purusha lingasya avinivrite, tasma dukham swabhavena. And the meaning is pretty direct. It says that here, in this middle world, pure consciousness experiences the suffering of old age and death. Why? Because that subtle body, that vehicle, is still running. The conclusion is pretty stark. In this state of being, suffering is just part of the deal. Okay, so after all of this diagnosis, all this talk of being stuck, of bondage, of suffering, you're probably asking, so what's the point of all this? Well, this last section gives us the answer. And honestly, it's pretty mind-blowing. The grand finale, the whole purpose of this entire cosmic drama, comes to us in Karika 56. You're going to want to listen closely to this one. Ityesha prakriti kruta mahadadi vishesha bhuta paryanta pratipurusha vimokshartham swartha eva parartha arambaha.
And here is the ultimate takeaway, and it is just, wow. Let this sink in for a second. The entire universe, all of creation, with all its complexity and all its suffering, is not just random chaos. It's all working towards a single goal, our freedom. The whole of nature is fundamentally designed for the liberation of every single one of us. So I want to leave you with a question to mull over. If we take this idea seriously, even for a moment, that the fabric of reality itself is structured to help us become free, how does that change how we see our own personal struggles, our own moments of being stuck? What if those obstacles aren't just in the way of the path? What if they are the path?
Thank you so much for joining me for this exploration of the Samkhya Karika. If this deep dive offered you a new way to think about things, please do take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps us continue to have these conversations. We'll see you in the next one.